Hello to all my beautiful listeners, and welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast where we bring authors and industry experts together to talk about all things books. My name is Larissa Sohn. I'm your host and your book coach, and I'm here today to talk to Jillian MacGregor. She has been weaving tales since childhood, really, but really she's only recently let people starting reading them, and I relate to that so much because it's scary to put your story out there. Unfortunately, she's afflicted with a full-time job that isn't writing, and therefore this is just her alias, and she can make up anything at all here, and no one would be any wiser. I love that. In reality, she is a mom with 2 adult children, 2 dogs, and lives in the Northeast. Jillian holds a master of, and she had to dumb this down for me, so it's healthcare law. She has a much bigger word for what she does, and I couldn't say it, so she dumbed it down for me, and uses romance as a much needed change in a pace from her reading and writing. Welcome, Jillian.
Hi.
So this romance is a change of pace in reading and writing. So do you read something outside of romance?
Law, lots of law. It's terrible.
Lots of law. Gotcha.
Laws and regulations, and they're boring, and it's dreadful.
Yeah, I bet it is. I know I'm a student myself. I'm taking my psychology degree right now. I have piles of textbooks on my desk, and right next to it, I have my Kindle that keeps all my smut. So
Exactly. It's balance.
Exactly. It's a balance. I love that. So you have a couple of books. We're going to be talking about Unlimited today, which is a part of a series. What's it been like writing a series of books?
So, really funny story about this. Uninvited is the second book in the series, and I actually wrote it first. It got released second, but it was the first book I ever wrote. Well, the first book I ever wrote to be published. And like 2/3 of the way through, I was like, there's a story that comes before this. And that's how it became a series, was because I was like, no, there's just so many other like tales to tell about this group of people. So it kind of focuses on a different couple in each book, but it happened by accident.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. And I think a lot of pantser type writers can resonate with that so much, where you start something, you don't know where it's going, you don't know how it starts or ends, and then you get in the middle and you're like, oh, I think there's more here.
Yes.
So, yeah, are you a pantser or a planner? How did
Absolutely. I have no idea what's going to happen. None whatsoever. When I first sat down, they started off as a NaNoWriMo project that one of my best friends, she was like, we're going to do this and it's going to be fun. And I was like, Isabel, you exhaust me. But I did it. And then I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And now I have like 50,000 words that I wrote all out of order. Like I just write whatever scene comes to my head. So not only did I write the book out of order, I wrote the whole series out of order. So I'm trying to, I have a third one that will come out in June, which is in editing now, but I have 2 others that I'm kind of working on at the same time because it all just doesn't come to me in the right order.
Yeah, totally. I get that. So NaNoWriMo is actually not something I've talked about on the show before, which is surprising because it's such a big part of most authors' lives. I did it. It pretty much broke me and I vowed to never do it again. And then I did it a second year. So it's like a pain that hurts so good. But NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month. It happens every November. And it's where you kind of make the commitment to yourself to write 50,000 words in a month. And it is not for the faint of heart. It hurts. But at the end, you feel very successful. So how was NaNoWriMo for you when you went through it?
So the first year, 2021, when I wrote Uninvited, it was painful. But I didn't think, I got like mid-month and I was like, there's no way I'm going to come out with 50,000 words at the end of this month. But I did. Last year I did it again. And somehow I ended up in like this group of people who were also doing it. And they were writing like 10,000 words a day. And I'm like, y'all, I work 12 hours a day. There's no way that they were done on like the first week. And I was like, I give up. Like it was very, I don't know how I ended up with such prolific people, but like they're writing very quickly, and I'm like, no, mine takes a whole lot longer than that.
Mhm.
Like I may not make it at the end of the month, and I like just barely squeaked by.
Yeah.
So it's hard, especially if you have like competing priorities.
Yeah. And, the number one productivity killer is watching other people do different things and then being like, I can't do that. Like, is
Yeah.
this what I'm supposed to be doing? Because
Yes. What do
nothing
you
is
mean
more
you're already
demotivating.
like 10,000 words in and we're on day 2?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's brutal for sure. So you wrote the second book first.
Hmm.
How did you handle the plotting, I guess? You said they're similar, they're couples, they match over in the stories, but you wrote the second book and you went back for the first. Did you have to do some rework to the second as a result?
No,
Oh, okay.
I didn't. I made sure, like I made it fit. I made the first one fit and flow into the second without having to do rework, because I was already like, I had editors lined up, and like I just had, at one point I had both of them in editing at the same time, which
Mm.
was very stressful. Do not recommend. But like I just made sure that it, like I made the first one that was the second one be like, this is in cement and this is immovable, so you have to like make book 1 fit to that,
Mhm.
which was not easy at some point, and it had turned out completely different than I thought it was going to, as it tends to do when you're a pantser. I started with like just this couple, this uh, the lead singer in a band who meets this fan and just decides that she's the one, and it just kind of like progressed. And in the book I wrote first, Uninvited, like you're traveling with that girl's friend, her friend Elle, was like, hey, I'm dating this rock star, like let's go do this stuff. And then I was like, no, I need to write the rock star and the friend first. I don't know why it came to me in that order, but that's the way it came to me. So that's what happened.
You're a very lucky pantser, because that was not my experience with my books. So I have my science fiction trilogy, and I wrote all 3 books. You might hate me for saying this, but in like 3 months. Like I wrote them hard and fast, kind of a thing. And I'm still sitting on them. The first one's published. I published it last year. Oh my gosh, 2 years ago. And then the second one's coming out this summer. But I'm in the editing phase of the second one, and I'm realizing it has second bookitis, where, it just kind of, it feels like a bridge between 1 and 3. It doesn't really like hold up. And so I added an entire storyline to it. That means I have to go back and change book 3. And so, I'm a pantser at heart too. Like I get that. And I can't, part of me is like, if I had plotted this out, this wouldn't be happening. But there's such advantages to being a pantser, because like you said, you can bend the story to make it fit what you need without too much heartburn. Like you didn't ever have a plan to go against, kind of a thing. So
Yeah, no, I really didn't. Though I have to say, in writing book 3, like even driving home last night from the gym, I was like, wait a minute, did I screw up that timeline? And like I have a whole timeline app because of this, because there are some overlaps between the books, and you're kind of referencing things that happened, and you don't want to mess that up. But I was like, wait a minute, I think I messed that up. And then I was like, no. I have the timeline. I had to go home and like look at the timeline to make sure that I referenced the timeline before like putting this timing in, because when you're just kind of following, your fingers are just following the keyboard, and you don't know what's happening. You're like, oh, does that really work?
yeah.
That happens a lot.
What timeline app do you use?
Aeon timeline.
Aeon timeline?
Yeah, AEON. It's a
You can't
lifesaver.
see me, but I'm writing it down. So
It's a lifesaver. It took me a while to find it. And now that I have it, it's like, that is where things get set in stone, so that I know how long it's been since whatever. So I'm not, prematurely aging some people, or,
yeah.
causing major timeline issues.
I watched a really popular creator a couple of years ago. This was before TikTok or any of those, kind of Bookstagram, book talk platforms, but she had written her entire series and it spanned over like 15 years or something. And then she realized her main character never aged. And it was like, ooh, shoot. So she had to go back and do all this work because the fundamental key component of being a human wasn't there for her. So that's cool. That's a great recommendation. Aeon Timeline. I'm going to put that in the show notes so people know what we're talking about and can check it out. Let's talk about your publishing experience. You and I were chatting just a little bit before the show about how complicated it can be to publish your first book. How did it go for you?
It's daunting. It doesn't help that I tried to do basically two on top of, like, one right on top of the other. But like, even just, the mechanics of making sure the formatting is correct and like things you don't think about when you're writing it and you've never published before. So formatting, covers, and let me tell you, uploading the cover, and I had a cover designer, the poor woman, who I was just like frantic. I'm like, it's saying it doesn't fit. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, why it says it's not the right size. So that poor girl, she resized it probably 20 times in one evening, just so that it would be up by the deadline. Because, Amazon is like, you have until X day to have your files ready, or we punish you. It was nerve-wracking to make sure that, even though like everything was really done in time, but like making sure it was all uploaded and the proofs came out right, like all these things that I didn't even know existed really before I started writing it during NaNoWriMo, because I had no idea that the work after you actually finish the manuscript is harder than writing the book itself.
That's so true. And, for my first book, I worked with a publishing house and they did all that on my behalf. But my second book that came out back in December, I did it myself. I did it through KDP. And I had a little bit of benefit of kind of knowing what the publishing house had done. You kind of watch it from the sidelines. But doing it myself, huge learning curve. And that's primarily why I got into coaching in this realm, is because a lot of people think writing is the hard part. And it is. Writing is hard. If you don't have the discipline and the time it takes to write a book, it might be where your author career ends. But when it comes to publishing, it's a whole nother wheelhouse, that there are so many shady things about the field that if you don't know, if you haven't done it, if you haven't seen it done, it can stop your book from getting in the world.
Yes. Yeah. There are so many things that you have to, and like, so, social media and, different Facebook groups and TikTok groups and Bookstagram, like the author community has been very, like the indie author community has been very helpful in that, like, you can kind of throw a question out there and people will help you because they've been in that frustrated like spot before. They're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, how did the first person figure out how to do this? Because it's not intuitive.
Yeah, that's so true. And it changes from day to day, year to year. So I published my book in December. The next one's going to come out in, fingers crossed, June, July. That it means I actually have to work on it, which is like another side story, but it might change. It might be totally different by then. Like you and I, we spent a lot of time talking about Amazon categories and just how complicated that game is. And it really does feel like a game. You are just playing a game, but it can change the outcome of your book so much by being in the right categories. Yeah, totally. I haven't mentioned this, but I am going to mention it now. You do have a freebie for our listeners, and I love doing these. So great to have this. You're giving away a free chapter of your book, which is going to support your upcoming sale on March 19th. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so you can go to my website, jillianmacgregor.com/free, and there's, you'll see there's a little, the first chapter of Uninvited, you can download it. And it's hopefully, you enjoy it. And if you do, you will, the book is on sale on March 19th for 99 cents.
Yes. Awesome. So you grab her free chapter, you'll get in line, get on her email list for the exclusive link that's going to be coming out where you can grab her book for 99 cents on Amazon. And I'm going to wrap up with my favorite question of what advice do you have for aspiring authors or established authors?
For like aspiring authors, just kind of like what we said, it's a complicated and nuanced way to go from here's my manuscript to it being published. So reach out, find other like indie authors in your genre or even outside of it that can help you kind of bounce those questions off of, because those resources have been invaluable in this journey, because without them, I think I still would be sitting here with a manuscript saying, what do I do?
What now? What now?
Yeah, exactly. So, just go out there and find, there are Facebook groups everywhere. There are, TikTok, Instagram. There's a group at my local library. I meet with a writers group on, the first Thursday of every month. So there are groups out there, just find them because they're so, so helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Community is huge. And, again, that's why I became a coach, is because I didn't want to see indie authors struggling by themselves, because there is just no need to do it. With all of the ways we can connect with each other, we're here for you. Free advice on TikTok, Instagram, paid advice through myself as a coach, one-on-one support, whatever it is that you're looking for. If you look for it, you will find it, because the book community is amazing that way.
And take it, look for it, because it can be very isolating.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, because most of the authors I know who, before they were published and were part of these communities, were the only one that they knew that was doing it. So it's not like you can call up your neighbor and say, hey, how are you cooking this meatloaf? It's you've got to find the people, and they are really really wonderful people who are happy to say, hey, yeah, here's what I did.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much, Jillian. And again, be sure to grab her free chapter from her website, which we're going to drop in the show notes, and grab her book for 99 cents on March 19th. Thank you so much.
Thank you.